Good evening, and thank you for joining me. We are about to get into it. First, I missed you guys. Did you guys miss me? I know this podcast is new, but I know I also tapped out for a week because I went on vacation. Y'all, I had to go. I needed to have a break. I went to Houston, Texas. Got to go down to Galveston to the beaches and stuff. Went out to the pier. It was really nice. I had a really great time, and I'm actually looking forward to going back to Texas. Some of you may or may not know, but one of the reasons why I went down there anyway was just kind of scouting the area and, kind of looking at some houses, apartments, kind of seeing what the city has to offer. Houston is a beautiful, beautiful town. There's so much stuff to do. It's amazing down there. It really is. And there's alcohol everywhere. They make the strongest drinks. Oh my God, I love them. Yeah, so that's what I was doing last week. So I kind of had skipped out. If anybody missed me, like I missed you guys, my apologies, like I said, but I am back this week so that we can get into it again. As some of you guys may have noticed from the notifications for this podcast, today we are going to be talking about polyamory. Very, very popular subject. Lots of people really don't know what it's about, don't really understand it or whatever. I kind of, have some intimate knowledge of it, so I figured, why not talk about it? Why not do a show about it? So that's what we're going to do today. And then, of course, like, share, and comment the video, the podcast. Invite your friends over to the Pink Journal Facebook page. The more the merrier. That'll be all great and wonderful. I hope these shows kind of do something for you guys and you kind of take something from them. If nothing else, take some knowledge from it. So we're going to definitely have some fun with it. And then also, I wanted to kind of get the product review out of the way. It's going to be fun because when I'm doing this, so in the mornings it's coffee, right? In the evenings it's, I don't know, it's some type of drink. So my product review for the week is this. My son picked this up for me. This is, can you see this? The light's kind of shining. It's churro stout. Okay, this is, it's a like a Mexican brewed beer, and it is with cinnamon and vanilla. So this is what I'll be drinking on tonight while we're getting into our stuff. So let's have a little taste here and see if this is as good as it's supposed to be. So let's see. Oh shit. This is amazing. So yeah, you can definitely taste the cinnamon. You can definitely taste the vanilla. I'm liking this. So I'm gonna be sipping on this while we're talking. Also, real quick, I don't know if this is necessarily a product review, but I've got some new glasses. Yay! I love these glasses. A lot of people don't know I'm blind as fuck, especially at night. Like I can't see for shit. So my new glasses finally came in, and I absolutely adore them. I can see, but I can't see. If that makes any sense to anybody, look, getting older is a bitch. So whatever. But I love these glasses. Do you guys like these glasses too? All right. So enough about my glasses. Um, Again, what we were talking about is the polyamory. Hey, Sarah, thank you. I really do like these glasses. I think they're cute. I also have a black frame. These are gray. You can't really, I don't know if you can really tell the color, but these ones are gray. And then I also have a black pair. But anyway, with the polyamory, I think the best place to start with that is literally with what it is. I think a lot of people have a misconception about what it is because I know I definitely did. But so let's just jump into that first because we can kind of clear some things up with that. So I just pulled up like dictionary.com and just literally got a basic definition. And polyamory is the practice or condition of participating simultaneously in more than one serious, romantic, or sexual relationship with the knowledge and consent of all partners. Let me say that again. With the knowledge and consent of all partners. So what does that look like basically for people? That can be a husband and a wife, and then they bring somebody in and they have a girlfriend that they share together. That's a throuple. Polyamory is this huge umbrella. Like there's so many things that fall up under it. So you've got the throuple where it's three people in a relationship, kind of, moving around and functioning between each other. There's also the situation where there's a husband and a wife, they are a couple, and then maybe the husband has a partner, maybe the wife has a partner, but these partners are separate of the marriage. There are also situations where that kind of is extended a little. So you've got the husband and the wife, and they're together, but then the husband has a girlfriend, and the husband's girlfriend maybe has a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, and everything in between. It also includes like swingers, people like, and then you've got like polygamy is also under the umbrella of polyamory. And as some of you guys know, polygamy is where a husband has multiple wives. And then there's also polyandry, where it's just the reverse, where the wife has multiple husbands. And fun fact, I don't even know if a lot of people know this, but with the polyandry, that's a common practice in Africa, actually, where you've got this woman and she has several husbands and they're all working for like the greater good, I guess you could, if you want to call it that. But yeah, so there are so many dynamics. And polyamory is not necessarily for just married people. It's not just for the people that are already committed and then, they're bored and they don't like their relationship. So now they want to get some partners or bring people in. Single people also can identify as poly. It's just people that are just open and honest and want to be with each other and don't want to have the ties to just a single person, because, just being with a single person, that's monogamy. But a lot of people don't don't really practice that, or don't practice it in the right way. So it turns into a situation where it's just cheating. So polyamory can be married people, single people, something in between, whatever. So, and also these relationships, they may or may not have anything to do with sex. Like, a lot of people think that with polyamory, it's just a bunch of horny people that just want to have the option of, being able to fuck whoever they want when they want. And that's not the case. There are sometimes situations where people, it's not physical, so they're just seeking out the intimacy of, being with that person, spending time with them, being able to talk to them. It's more of like an emotional relationship versus a physical one. Now, sex definitely has a role in the polyamory world. People are definitely out there getting down. Like, there's swingers clubs, there's websites and stuff. I'll give you guys a couple of those. I had kind of wrote them down, but yeah, there's everything from the least to the most extreme, and then everything in between. And I wanted to make, what's crazy about polyamory is that a lot of people look down on it. And I feel like, though, a lot of that is just because they don't know. And if people were really honest with themselves, especially with the stuff they go through in their relationships, a lot of people are in polyamorous relationships and just don't understand it. Because again, being in a polyamorous relationship is when you're dealing with multiple partners. The only difference is, with this definition, with the knowledge and consent of all partners, there's no knowledge or consent. So that's the only thing that's making it different, because people are out here doing whatever they want to do and still trying to call it monogamy, and then getting mad because it's turning into cheating, because people are not being honest with themselves. Like, hey, maybe I do love you, I do want to be with you, but I'm also digging this person over here to the side. And maybe if people started having these conversations with each other and being honest with themselves and being honest with their partners, people could get a little bit further with, with what's going on with polyamory. So now, as far as me, like I said at the beginning of the show, I do have some intimate knowledge of it. I am not against it. I definitely do not think that it's a bad idea. I think, to each his own. But I definitely think, here, let me take these off because there's a little bit of a blur, and I want you guys to be able to see me. It takes a certain type of person to participate in polyamory. There's a lot that goes into it emotionally, mentally, physically, and everybody's not built for it. They're not. But if it's something that you're curious about, or if it's something that you're participating in right now, you know that it can take a lot from you, and you have to be prepared and ready for that. There's a lot of pros and cons. And so I kind of wanted to get into the pros and cons, and then we can get into maybe like some Q&A and whatever. But we'll start with the pros and cons. So for me, the first pro is that there's freedom. You can kind of do whatever you want to do. I mean, within respectable limits, if that even makes sense. Because I know that sounds crazy. Like, Niche, how can you do whatever you want to do and be with this person and be fucking this other person too? There's rules, okay? For each couple that goes ahead and decides to participate in polyamory, they all have their own individual rules. Some are just like, I really don't care what you do, just don't, don't have any, we don't want any kids. Or there's other people that are like, I don't care what you do up until it leads to sex, then I want to know. Or I don't want to know at all, you're good. Some people require that you talk to the other partner and get the consent from them too and make sure that that's okay. That's actually something that I experienced. It was a little nerve-wracking at first. So I've participated in a polyamorous relationship for many different reasons, and I'll kind of get into those a little later. But one of the things that I had to do was I wanted to be with the man in the relationship, and he had a wife, of course, and she's cool as fuck, very sweet, very nice. I had to make sure it was okay with her, and she was real nice, and she was just like, I like you, I'm okay with this. I just want to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into, and you understand what you're doing. And I had to, sit back and think about that. Like there's a lot that goes along with it, and one of those things that goes along with that. So freedom, is your positive, but a con is that there can be a lot of jealousy going on. Maybe the wife starts getting jealous that the husband's spending too much time away from home, or the husband gets jealous that the wife is too far from home, or the husband's girlfriend, now she's demanding more time, or the wife's boyfriend, or whatever. Like jealousy definitely can play a role because we are human, right? And as humans, we get territorial about what's ours. But I think that the biggest thing that helps with curbing jealousy is the trust and the openness. Because if a person's going to be out there doing what they want to do anyway, at least if you know about it, then you can make a decision for yourself by yourself. Because the last thing you want is for somebody to be making decisions for you. The last thing you want is somebody cheating on you behind your back. And so here you are bragging about how good your relationship is and how wonderful things are. And your husband, your boyfriend, whatever, they're cheating behind your back and got you looking like Boo Boo the Fool. If you know what stuff is, you can prepare yourself for what the incoming backlash is going to be, because a lot of people ain't going to like it, and a lot of people are going to have something to say about it. But at the end of the day, does that really matter? You're not dealing with those people that have an opinion about it. Those people ain't paying your bills. They're not taking care of your kids. You do whatever is going to make you the happiest. But you don't get into situations like this if you know you're a jealous person. You would be a person that's not built for this lifestyle. Like, because it gets hard. It gets heavy. But then another pro to it is variety. Maybe you're in a relationship with someone and you love them dearly, and that's who you want to be with, but maybe they're not as adventurous as you. Maybe, you've got an introvert and an extrovert together. You've got one person that's athletic and another person that's not. So maybe you meet somebody who also likes going to the gym. It doesn't take anything away from the partner that you have, but it just means that you're also able to indulge in some variety. And I know that sounds kind of selfish. Indulge is it's a very pleasurable word, right? You want to indulge in something. I mean, you want to take full advantage of the pleasure of it. But there's nothing wrong with indulging yourself if you do it right, and if you do it, safely and secure and securely. So, but then let's again back to some more cons though. Then you've got spreading yourself too thin. That you can do that when you're just dating, when you're single. Like it's hard keeping up with multiple people and their personalities and the shit that they want to do. You're like, dude, like it's too much. It can get stressful. So you got to make sure that you don't spread yourself too thin, because it's very, very easy to do that. But then on the flip side of that, you've got the pro of many hands make light work. Like, okay, I'm gonna use this example. Like, don't judge me, but if you have a partner that enjoys something sexually that maybe you don't want to do, or you don't got time to do. Okay, so here, let's use this example. So if you're on the bigger side, and your partner, your husband or whatever, he really likes it when you ride all the time, but you're like, man, I hate that part. Like, I'm fat, I'm heavy, I'm tired, I don't want to do this shit. But the other person that's in the relationship with you, maybe she's skinnier, she's better in shape, she's whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, okay, she can cover that. It's kind of like having a secretary, but not a secretary. So like some stuff maybe that you don't want to do, they pick up on that, or stuff that they don't want to do, you pick up on that. And be real quick, looks like I got a question. Yay, my first question. Walter, he is asking, is there love in polyamory? Absolutely there is. You can love multiple people. You love them in different ways. The same way as you can be in love with a single person and fall out of love with them, or fall deeper into love with them. We extend our emotions to people for different reasons, right? Love is just a back and forth. You're getting something from that person. You can have love for multiple partners. Now, as far as the intensity and the extent, I would definitely say that maybe one person is going to get more love than another, and that actually we'll go back over to the pro on there. It was the con was liking one partner more than the other. So it does happen, but you can love multiple people, because think about, just in your lifetime, you've loved multiple people. Multiple partners doesn't mean that there's any different, or any lack of love. You love different people for different reasons and at different intensity levels. So yes, there is definitely love in polyamory. There's love, there's respect, there's admiration. Because I could counter that question with, is there love in a monogamous relationship? Some people don't like polyamory and don't care for it because they feel like it breaks down the bond of those two people, right? Because traditionally, and like, if you want to be like religious about it and Bible wise and whatnot, it says one man and one woman together, or, just two people. So of course that definition has been updated for the times we live in now. So two men together, two women together, a man and a woman together, whatever. But the bottom line is it only being two people. But what happens when one of those two people steps out? Then it's like, where's that perfect example of what love in a relationship is supposed to be? It's out the window, because now they're out there cheating. They've involuntarily put you into a polyamorous relationship because maybe they're out there cheating on you, but they don't leave you. So they come back to you, they deal with you, and meanwhile they've started a physical and mental and emotional relationship with somebody else. They're just doing it in secret. So there really is no difference. It's not better or worse to be in a monogamous relationship. That doesn't mean that you love or don't love that person any more or less. Those are characteristics of the individual themselves, what that person is willing to do or not willing to do, and how far they're willing to spread themselves to be or not to be with multiple people. So absolutely, there's love there, just like there's love in a monogamous relationship. So back to them pros and cons. Let's see. So I was at many hands making light work in the example, the sexual example, but there's other examples too, because the people that participate in thruples, so now instead of one mom, you've got two moms, right? So maybe one mom is working from home and she's doing stuff and she didn't got caught up at work, but somebody needs to pick up the kids. So the other mom, she kind of helps out and does more like house chores and whatnot. So she's able to pick up the ball where the other person can't, because maybe the husband, he's busy too. He's off in the office somewhere, or he's working, or maybe he's out of town or whatever. But the other two partners, they can do stuff. So you're able to get more things done when there are more people around. But again, like I said, a con of being in a polyamorous relationship is that you can spread yourself too thin with there being too many people. So you have to really make sure that that's something that you want to do. And another con with that is too many hands stirring the pot. Like, everybody may want to be the driver. Like, maybe the wife, she's okay with it, but the girlfriend stepping in and she wants more responsibility, she wants more acknowledgement as being higher up. Like, there's levels, there's rules, and there's tiers, and all of that has to be laid out and explained and understood before engaging in this type of relationship. Because like I said, everybody's not built for it, but the people that are built for it, another pro for it is that there's strength in numbers. There are the more people there is more people to protect, is more people to love a kid. Like, say there are children also in a relationship. A lot of kids grow up in polyamorous relationships and they have two dads, two moms, a mom and a dad, and whatever. So when you have more people there looking after your kingdom or building your empire, that can only be a good thing. But everybody brings something to the table. Everybody has something to offer. Maybe one person is good with laborious work, one person is good financially, one person's extremely intellectual, whatever, and together they build an empire off of that, versus trying to seek that out on the low or being secret about it and then not getting anywhere because it all crumbles up in your hands anyway. But another con is that there's a lot of insecurities that surface. If you start off in a monogamous relationship and then your partner goes ahead and seeks another partner, and you think that you're okay with that, and so you give the all clear, and they do that, and your partner comes back with a partner who's like the complete opposite of you, maybe their body type is different than yours, their hair type, their skin type, their race, anything like that, you may develop an inferiority complex about that. That may make you feel some type of way, because you're like, well, damn, You brought this girl home and she's got this big ass. I don't have an ass. What are you trying to say? You always wanted ass. That makes me feel bad. So you definitely insecurities come into play, but that's something that people in monogamous relationships deal with. They, when they imagine things in their head and just fantasize stuff like, oh, you never do this because you don't like that. And the problem with that, again, the biggest thing, and I cannot stress this enough, whether you're going to be in a polygamous relationship or you're going to be in a monogamous relationship, is there has to be communication. There has to be respect. And I know that for me to say that, some people might feel like I'm being a hypocrite or whatever because I'm single. But the reason that I'm single is because people don't know how to talk to each other. I've always been on big on that. I am a communicator. I feel like it's important to get things out. The more you hold things in, the more they tear you up. And so when you're always holding things in, whether, whatever it is, an insecurity, your jealousy issues, problems that you have with your partner, if you don't address those things, if you don't tell your partner what it is that you need from them, you're going to be fucked in the game anyway, regardless of the type of relationship that you get into. So, communication is fucking huge. Another pro with being in a polyamorous relationship is the opportunity for growth. You get to, for every relationship that you're in, you should be able to take something from that relationship. That relationship should offer you something. You should be able to learn something from that. You should be able to boss up from something like that. It should be able to put you in a better situation than what you started in. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, maybe you started in a bad situation or, you started at the bottom or whatever, but it just means that you are elevating your status. You are becoming more and better than what you are. So if you've got multiple people in a relationship, everybody can feed off of that. Everybody can gain something from all of those different things. It opens up more doors. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth when you're in a polyamorous relationship. Now, unfortunately, another con with that, though, is that there's an unequal division of time. Maybe, one partner, like the primary partner, because there's rules and names for different things and everything. So like I would consider myself solo poly, which means I'm the primary partner in my relationship to myself, because right now it's just me. So if I ever dated, if and when I get into a relationship, my partner, I would have to introduce that to my partner if he wasn't already a part of that lifestyle. Now, I have no interest in having an additional female, but I don't have a problem with dating multiple men. And that doesn't make me a hoe. That doesn't make me a gold digger. That doesn't make me bad. That just means that perhaps there's something to gain from being with multiple people. But I would be absolutely 100% open and honest with it. And also, that's not to say that I'm against being in just a monogamous relationship. Because if I cared about a person enough and we vibed enough, then it's possible that I'm getting everything that I need from that one partner. But I like to have the option just in case, because shit happens. People fall in and out of love all the time. And it's not to jinx myself or jinx the relationship that I might be in, but it's me being realistic, especially in this day and age. Like people, I would be more inclined to want to participate in a monogamous relationship if people were actually practicing monogamy, and they're not. People are out here essentially doing whatever the fuck they want to do anyway. So why not be open and honest about it and just be in a polyamorous relationship? Like, what's the point of being sneaky and doing shit behind somebody's back? I don't have time for that. I don't have time to be hiding where I am or deleted messages or running around town or doing other extra shit. And then I still plan on going back to the other person that I'm with. That person should just know what I'm doing, and we should just all be on the same page. That, and it's as simple as that. I know that sounds hypocritical and a bunch of people ain't going to agree with that, but it really is that simple. It's as simple as having a goddamn conversation, which people, for whatever reason, don't feel like having. Let's see, Walter said, can you please talk to us on how you got into a polyamory in that relationship? Yeah. So I knew a man for quite a while. I've known him for a couple years, and I always knew he was married. That was never a secret. He never hid it, and it didn't start off romantic. It literally was just a friendship, right? Men and women can be friends, but over time, like it became very evident that he liked me or whatever, and he had talked to me about it because I always knew about his lifestyle and stuff too. He didn't hide anything, and I was a little curious about it, but I felt like, because society says that we have to just be with a single person, I didn't want to, I didn't want to be that chick. I didn't want to deal with, being a side chick or, having an angry wife being around or whatever. And I just felt like, out of respect for myself and out of respect for the wife, that, that's not something that I wanted to participate in. It's not, really anything that I've really done a lot in my life or whatever. But on the flip side of that, I have been in situations where I found out that the man that I was messing with had a wife, had a girlfriend, whatever. And then you're kind of stuck because you have feelings for him too. So then you're like, fuck, what am I going to do about this? And of course, the natural instinct is, oh, I'm going to leave. We're going to leave this situation. But it's not always that hard, especially when feelings and stuff start coming into play. So anyway, back to this situation. We maintained a friendship, and I kind of, kept a little bit of distance because I wasn't sure how I felt about their lifestyle and the fact that he already had a wife and everything. But to be honest with you, it had a lot to do with previous experiences in past relationships. And I don't mean that to say that, every relationship that I've been in was bad and every guy I was with dogged me out or nothing like that. I don't mean that. There have been good relationships and there have been bad ones. But it was in me growing up and, growing into my womanhood or whatever and seeing things for what they are, it just started to make more and more sense. And then especially too, because I had the opportunity to actually get to know his wife as just a person and not just his wife. And she was real cool. She was real sweet. I have no sexual attractions to her or anything, but I liked her as a person. And she even, she was very funny about it and making jokes. And she's like, well, this day is off limits, but, the rest of the days, y'all can figure it out. I don't care. Just don't get pregnant because I don't want to take care of any more kids, which I was fine with because I don't want kids and, it was whatever. So when the situation came back around, because like I said, he never hid his feelings for me. I just kind of kept him at a distance. But when the topic, came back around and we talked about it again, I was like, okay. But that decision didn't come from, anything that anybody forced me into or, kind of pressured me into. A lot of that decision came from my life experiences. It seemed to make sense, like I said, like many hands make light work. You gain a friend, there's growth from it. And also too, for me, like I'm pretty busy. Like I do a lot of stuff. And so I don't have time to just be in somebody's face 24/7, loving on them and being clingy and lovey-dovey and stuff. Like that stuff is great, like when you can do it, but that's not something that I can participate in all day, every day. And so just knowing that, there's somebody else there, which goes back to like that the secretary example that I gave. Like when I can't do stuff or when I don't want to do stuff, she's there. Hell, he's okay. I like my alone time. I like sleeping in my bed by myself, but I want to go on a date. And I want to go on a date with somebody that cares about me or somebody that wants to hold my hand or somebody that loves me or, whatever. So it just seemed like it made the most sense, especially at the time. And so I walked into it with open eyes. I did what I needed to do as far as that couple and their rules. And the only rule that they really had was that, I had to get the okay from the wife as well. And she gave it and was like, I'm not worried about it. And so I found myself in a relationship. Now in the end, it didn't work out, but it didn't not work out because of, any jealousy or, any of those other cons that I had mentioned. It wasn't anything like that. It was just that man was not able to, how do I say this? I don't know how to say it, but he wasn't participating the way he was supposed to. He wasn't doing his part. So I wasn't jealous. I wasn't demanding a bunch of time or, anything crazy like that, like what people might think. But it was just that he was not being a good boyfriend or a good husband or whatever. I felt like I wasn't getting any energy from him, not necessarily time or whatever. Because like I said, I was okay with the situation. I wasn't getting what I needed from him to continue participating in that relationship. And so even if it had just been me and him, I would have probably still left. I wouldn't have, been there because I need to be fed as well. So I felt like I was starving in the situation. And it wasn't because he was giving his wife more time than me or anything like that. It was because I literally agreed to be in the relationship and then nothing happened. Nothing changed. There weren't dates all of a sudden or him coming to spend time or doing stuff or whatever. It was just like our friendship, but even less than that. And so I just thought like, well, this is kind of stupid. So there's not really a point in participating in this. And so I decided to go ahead and exit the situation. So that's my story on how I got into that. So, another pro with the polyamory is that it gives you exposure to different minds, thoughts, and points of view. Like if you're with someone who, kind of thinks like you, they're from the same part of town as you, or they grew up the same way you did, you kind of get stuck in a bubble, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because you have that person there that, relates to you and that's there with you and understands things that you've been through, but you don't get exposure to other aspects of the world. Like the world is bigger than just your backyard. And so when you explore, multiple relationships, and again, I cannot stress this enough, it's not all about sex. This is not about, having a free pass to be out there doing the most and fucking whoever you want, when you want, and how you want. Like it's more than that. It's bigger than that. So when you're in these type of relationships, you get a lot of exposure to a lot of different things, different cultures, different backgrounds, different people and their points of views, different religious views, culture, everything. So it can be a good thing. But some people feel like there is a con because you wind up liking or loving one partner more than the others. And I think that that's something that's just going to naturally happen. I mean, a lot of us don't like to admit it, but we do that when, like, people that have multiple children, that we all have a favorite kid. I mean, we don't necessarily got to say who it is. I'm not going to say who it is, but maybe it's your oldest kid, maybe it's your youngest kid, the kid that you can relate to, the son versus the daughters, or the daughter versus the sons, or whatever. Like, you always have a favorite, or you always have a go-to. You have favorites when you're going to a store. You've got a favorite brand of whatever you buy, and on a good day and when you have the money, you buy the brand that you like. But on the days when maybe you don't necessarily, you have something else that you do like, but maybe you just don't enjoy that as much. So that can be that can definitely be something that can be a deal breaker for a lot of people. It can be a problem. And then this one right here, this is a dual. This is pro and con, your finances, right? Because if you've got multiple people in a relationship, you have access to more money, especially if you're in a throuple, especially. But more people bringing in checks and more people doing things, you're able to accomplish more things faster. But also the downside of that is, say you're not in the throuple version of polyamory, but you're in, where it's a husband and a wife, and then the husband has a girlfriend on the side, or the wife has a boyfriend on the side. They're spending money on that other partner too. Because, like, okay, so for the husband, because I mean, that's the best example that I can, think of, because I'm straight or whatever. So I would date the man in the relationship. He has to take me on dates, so he's spending money. Maybe he buys me gifts, for whatever reason, or, maybe it's a birthday or a holiday, so he's spending money. So any money that he's spending on me is money that's not being spent in his household, because maybe I don't want to necessarily be a part of his household, but I want to be a part of him. I want to be with him. So he's got to split that money two ways. And especially if he's the primary breadwinner, that may make his house suffer. But that's also another thing too. Like, when I say like that polyamory is not built for everybody, it's not. Like, I know in the Muslim religion, for example, they are allowed to have up to four wives, but they have to be able to financially take care of those four wives and prove it before they start accumulating those wives. You can't just be a dude just out here just like, oh yeah, I got these four wives, and y'all struggling and bills ain't getting paid or kids ain't getting taken care of. That's a no-no in that religion. So for the things that you participate in, you have to be built for. So the finances can go both ways, especially if people are not, if they're not doing it right, that can certainly be abused. So it can be a benefit and it can be not a benefit. Um, Another pro is the honesty. A lot of people drive themselves crazy wondering what their partner's doing when they're not with them, or trying to control situations, or where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you doing it with? But when you're open and you're honest about situations like these that you're in, you eliminate that. You have no reason to drive yourself crazy. Now, if you continue that behavior anyway, then you are just inviting drama into your life. But with polyamory, there's no secrets. Everything is out on the table. Everybody knows about everybody. It's a very high possibility that everybody's met before. There's been some type of like group situation where everybody's gotten together. So honesty is a huge thing in any relationship. And that's not just in romantic relationships. Your honesty with your kids, your honesty with your coworkers, your honesty with people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. So if you don't have honesty, you don't have a relationship anyway. And so with polyamory, it's built around honesty because it's with the knowledge and consent of all participating parties. There's nothing being hidden there. So I definitely think that's a good one, because so many people lie about stuff, and they lie to themselves and to other people. And it's like, what is the point of that? Just be honest and just, own that shit. Like, if you're doing it, own it. Why hide it? Why go through all the extra steps to try to get away with it when you can just put it out there on the table and be like, look, this is what it is. And then let that person make their own decision like, okay, I'm fucking with it. Or, you know what? This ain't for me. And then they can make the decision to leave or not. Because the point of being in a relationship is not to control somebody, is to enjoy them. And if you're not enjoying the person that you're with, why the fuck are you with them? And with that being said, another con with that is facing some truths that you might not be able to handle. A lot of people try to control relationships with dishonesty or controlling behavior because they are not ready to face the fact that maybe they don't have as much to offer as they thought they did. And keeping tabs on somebody or keeping somebody in a weak state of mind helps keep them stay with that person because they feel like they can't do any better, or they're afraid to do better, or they think that there's not no better out there. So it's like it's a coming to Jesus moment. Like you really have to sit down and you have to evaluate yourself. You have to evaluate your partner or partners and the things that you guys are doing. Like polyamory just it exposes so much stuff, and a lot of people aren't ready for that type of exposure. A lot of people can't handle their partner being with another person and hugging them and kissing them and touching them. Like those kind of things drive some people crazy, and it's understandable. Those are the people obviously that don't need to be in this type of relationship. But I mean, if we're just talking about relationships in general, like a lot of monogamous people have way more issues than people that are in polyamorous relationships. The polyamorous relationship, they're not perfect. They have their problems, they have their fights. No relationship is perfect, but I promise you that they have less problems, because one of the biggest problems with monogamous relationships is dishonesty and cheating. There's no reason for it. Like I'm a huge fan of tell me what's going on so I can make my own decisions. The last thing I want is somebody taking my choice away from me. And when people lie to you or people do things behind your back or do dishonest things, those are the things that take that power and that control away from you. Everybody wants to be in control of everybody else, but ain't nobody controlling themselves. That was why I had to get out of my monogamous relationship. You guys remember when I was engaged last year, when I was engaged, if you can even call that, it was just winded up being a bunch of craziness. But one of our biggest problems was that there was a lack of honesty. Had he told me some of the things that I, ended up having to find out on my own, we probably, number one, we wouldn't have went as far as we went, and that would have been okay. He did not allow me the opportunity to make my own decisions. He did not give me the opportunity to decide if that was something that I did or did not want to deal with. And so he let me get myself emotionally involved, get myself emotionally invested. And so then when the shit hit the fan, I felt trapped. I didn't gave you my time. I've given you my body. I've shared my family with you. I'm letting you around my kids. I'm in love with you. I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, thinking that it's me and you against the world, not me against you. And in the end, it was me against you, because you can't be my partner. You can't be my ally when you're lying and being sneaky and doing stuff behind my back. That doesn't work. And a lot of people that are in monogamous relationships go through shit like that because people don't want to be honest with each other. People are afraid of being alone. People feel like they got to hurry up and latch on to something, and it winds up being the worst thing that they can do. And the next thing you know, they wake up and 5 years down the drain, 10 years down the drain, 15, 20, whatever. And they're like, you know what? I got to get out of this. And had they just been honest with themselves from the beginning, it wouldn't now feel like a situation where they got to get out of it. It's not. Because with polyamory, all the doors are open. You're not being forced to stay in a relationship. You're not being forced to do anything that you don't want to do. Because like I said, again, with all the cards being out on the table, you can make a choice at any time. I don't like this anymore. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not getting along with the husband. I'm not getting along with the wife. I don't want to do this. I've fallen in love with somebody else and I just want to try to just be with that person. But people act like they don't want to do that. And it just causes so many problems. So for a lot of people, I feel like maybe they should go in the direction of polyamory. Like I would absolutely promote it. I'm not I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of it, but I am a supporter of it. I'm not a fan of people that get into those relationships to abuse them just so that they can fuck multiple people and whatever. I'm not a fan of that. Like, that's bullshit. If you want to just be out here just fucking whoever you want, wherever you want, then you need to just be single. Because with single, there's no ties, no rules, no nothing. You literally can just do whatever the fuck you want to do. But when you're in a either monogamous relationship or a polyamorous relationship, you still have to follow rules. There still has to be some level of respect. Things can still only go so far. So if you want to be doing single shit, you need to fucking be single. If you have an open mind and you feel like you want to have multiple partners just so that you can absorb different things from different people, polyamory might be for you. If you're just gung-ho on one man one woman, or one woman one woman, one man, and you just feel like you can only be with one person, then just only be with one person. But what I'm saying is, make a fucking choice and stick to it. Own your choice. If that's the lifestyle that you want to live, if any of those three, whichever of those three are the most appealing to you, own that, be in that, do that, because your partner's not your kid. Your partner's not your enemy. Your partner is not the person that you're supposed to be fighting every day, or the person that you're supposed to be hiding things from, or the person that you're supposed to be investigating shit on. That's you do that with your kids, okay? You keep tabs on your kids. You don't keep tabs on your partner. You don't keep tabs on your spouse. You don't lie to your spouse. You don't cheat on your spouse. You don't do those things. If you want to do those things, be single. Be the fuck out of the relationship, polyamorous or not. So, 1 second, because this beer is good. I don't know. So, I mean, I know this kind of basic on what the polyamory is, but it doesn't seem like it's too hard to grasp the concept. And then, as you guys know, one of the things I like to do kind of towards the end of the podcast is I like to do the story time so that I can share, even though I kind of gave you guys a story already when the gentleman asked me about how I, found myself in my situation. But I have an actual story time for you guys. So, like from the last show that I had did on a Friday, to gain you guys' trust and to build up this audience and to do what it is that I'm trying to do, I feel like if I open up and if I share things about myself, then that will make you more comfortable with wanting to engage with me, with wanting to ask questions, with wanting to be a part of this journey, with wanting to be a part of this. So I decided that every Friday when I do the longer shows, that at the end of the shows, we'll do a story time where I just grab a random journal, because anybody that knows me knows that I write. The name of this podcast is The Pink Journal. Your journal is your diary. Your journal is where you put your most intimate thoughts and feelings, and maybe things that you wouldn't necessarily share with your family and your friends. So I grabbed a journal off of my shelf. I'm up to like 17 now, I believe. And so grab this little red one. I like this one. This is one of my more favorite ones. And it's this year was, excuse me, this journal covers the end of 2016 and then the beginning of 2017. So I do a blind reading, right? I don't really read it before I read it to you guys. So the last time I read this was when I wrote it. And so we're going to read it. And, if there's time, we'll talk about it. And if you guys have any questions about anything that I have written in there, you can certainly ask. I may or may not have written about, somebody maybe that I was dating, or maybe a situation that I was dealing with a friend or whatever. So as I'm reading it, I'm not editing it, but I will skip over, saying the person's name if something in this happens to, mention like an ex or a friend or a partner or whatever, because my intention is not to make anybody feel bad or put anybody on blast, but it's more to make you get more comfortable with me. So, like I said, this journal, the date of this entry is June 21st, 2017. So a couple years ago. So I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna dive in and I'm gonna read it. And then, like I said, if there's time, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it. So one thing that I've noticed about myself is that after I have sex with a man, I almost always mentally and emotionally check out. Right after sex, I seem to lose interest in these men. I've never felt an emotional attachment to a man I've had sex with. I've never felt an emotional attachment to a man I've had sex with after the fact. As a matter of fact, sex really doesn't mean anything to me. I like it, but I could go without it just the same. My concern is that I've given up so much of myself sexually that I have nothing to give a man. I really do feel like I'm dead inside. My biggest fear is ending up alone or settling for someone who does not meet my standards. I don't think I'll ever find a man who meets my standards, and it's becoming clear to me that my list may be unrealistic, or maybe that I want too much. Either way, I'm not sure. I've been looking at my list and thinking about some things, and it is quite a long list, but here it is. I want a man who is attractive, a man who is educated, a man who owns his own car, has his own house before he meets me, a man with a good, stable job, a man that can and wants to take me out on actual dates and not just chill at my house, a man who can hold an interesting conversation, a protector, a provider, someone who can and will pay bills without any hesitation or me necessarily having to ask, a man who wants to do more than just fuck me, a man I don't have to share, a man who loves me genuinely and without condition, a man that can make me laugh and loves my smile, a man who wants to be there for my kids as well as for me, a man my family could and would accept, a man with goals and ambitions, a man with an understanding and acceptingness. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering over my words. A man who loves me just the way I am, a man I can talk to, a man who knows how to lead a relationship, a man who has a relationship with the Lord, a man I can learn from, and a man I can grow with. And there it is, my perfect man. But either he doesn't exist or I somehow have missed him. Sometimes I wish I could go back in time to fix some shit, but I don't even know where to go. I don't know where the problem started. Maybe it started when I developed standards and realized that these men weren't shit. Maybe ignorance is bliss because before I woke up, I thought men were the best thing since sliced bread. I was so stupid and very ignorant. Oh, and that's it. So that one was only 2 pages. I usually write a little bit longer, but I mean, that's what it is. I guess that's how I was feeling. Hey, April. How are you, ma'am? So, yeah, um, we're coming up on the 50-minute mark here. So I'm going to be wrapping this up. But as always, I do hope that you gained something from this. I hope that it mattered in some type of way. I hope that me sharing a little bit more about myself kind of helps you dig into more of yourself. And we'll be back at this next Wednesday. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a good evening.